This is Paul Mullins with Walton Entertainment, and we're downtown Monroe. This is October the 21st, and this is a Saturday, and we're fixing to start the activities down here with the starting of the Girls Drum and Bugle Corps.
And most importantly, I get to kick off the program by introducing to you the Monroe Girls Corp alumni. They're going to have a special performance today, and just to remind everyone, they were national champions. They were perennial favorites at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City. They performed all over the eastern United States, including Carnegie Hall. And today the alumni will sing Monroe, Georgia, which is the official song of Monroe, and the lyrics and music were written by Mr. Wayne Shields. So let's turn our attention to Court Street and welcome the Monroe Girls Corps alumni.
Long time. I'm doing well. Company front, march.
And we're going to start our introductions today by introducing the 1946 Monroe High School girls basketball team. 1946 was the first year that the Georgia High School Association recognized girls basketball as a sport. And the Monroe High School girls team won the 10th district championship that year and went to the playoffs. The playoffs were held at Mercer University in Macon, and we have two representatives here from that team. And I'm going to ask them to stand. One is Molly Wheeler Barnes. And Jimmy Dean Edwards Jackson. Jimmy Dean was a cheerleader that year and cheered for the team. Molly told me they won the 10th district, they had a great season, and they got to Mercer and they were defeated by technology. They walked in the gym and they had never seen a glass backboard before. And so that's what they're blaming their loss on. So we'll let that go, but we're glad to have both of y'all with us today. Thank you so much. Okay, our next introduction will be the 1948 Monroe High School football team. This was the first football team to go undefeated through the regular season. We'll ask all the members of the 48 teams that are present to step forward, please. Y'all will come down front and we'll make you a picture. This is Billy Queen, Mr. Sanders East, who traveled all the way from Barnesville, and Tribble Breelove. Other members of that team, some I'm sure you'll remember, know that their coach was Bill Davies, who had a promising career as a football player at the University of Georgia, and his neck was broken. He never got to play, but he did a good job coaching here and was also a star on one of our mill baseball teams. Edward Peters played on that team, Garland Breelove, Gene Donahue, Randall Whitehead, Dan Mitchum, Johnny Bell, Clyde Pierce was one of the coaches. He didn't play, he was one of the coaches. Sanders East, who's here today, Dial Clegg, Pat Backus, Walton Hutchins, Charles Jackson, Billy Carrollton, Benny Briscoe, Jerry Felker, Gilbert Burt, Sidney Wheeler, Bobby Camp, Tommy Patrick, and maybe some others that we don't know, but those are the ones that we know about.
Next we have the Next we have the 64-65 high school football team. We won the sub-region for the first time in many, many years. We had Coach Hicks, Coach Harris, and Coach Went was going to be here, but I don't see him anywhere. If y'all will just come up front, all the 64 football team.
Okay, let's see if I can remember all these guys, tell you their names starting on that end. Glenn Barton, who played in. Mike Powers. I better not try to call out positions. I know Mike was a center. Sam Wheeler, Jimmy Bolton's quarterback, Howard Connell was an end, and Coach Harris was a coach, and Budger was a running back, and Coach Hicks was our head coach. I'm Steve Brown. Jimmy Whitley's here somewhere.
Forgot the gathering.
Yeah, Jimmy Whitley played tackle. I remember that.
What did you play, Steve? Next we're going to have the 64-65 boys basketball team. If any of those guys are here, come up front, please.
1964-65 boys basketball team. If you're here, come on down.
One other thing I want to say about this basketball team was, unfortunately, we were part of a statewide losing streak until Coach Harris took over. The first year Coach Harris coached, we won 3 ball games. The next year we went to state. Horace Jones, Coach Harris, Paul Petrie, Judson Mitchell, and I'm Randall Rowe. Next, we got the 1965 baseball team.
Right, how you doing?
A little bit about this team. The year before, the summer before, Tom Robinson, I know y'all remember Tom Robinson, he was part of getting an organization called the Dixie Youth League. And he got with Coach Hicks, and Coach Hicks insisted that all the future baseball players play on his summer league team. We won the league, and actually the all-star team played for the state championship, lost to Norcross. But that was the beginning of our season. For the next year, Coach Hicks took over, and we won the region, won the North Georgia Championship, and unfortunately, Americans came up here and defeated us after a long rain delay. Darrell Kinsey, Ronnie Ward, Horace Jones, Jimmy Bolton. In the North Georgia Championship, Jimmy pitched a no-hitter. Coach Hicks, y'all know me, Paul Petrie, Judson Mitchell. Good representation. They got it. Pretty good, huh? Why not? Been doing good anyway.
Is there anyone here from the 1966 girls basketball team, who are region champions? Okay. The star of that team, Debbie Mulkey. Oh, wait. And Rita Peters. Patrick. Yes, ma'am. Unless you'd like to sing. Okay, our next introduction will be the 1968 Carver High School State Championship football teams. We ask those guys to come forward. Come on down. While they're coming forward, let me tell you a little about this team. In 1968, which was the last football season that Carver had as a high school, they did a fantastic job. They were undefeated. They won the state championship. But if you go back 3 years, the last 3 football seasons they had, 66, 67, and 68, These guys were 33-2. The only two games they lost. The only two games they lost were the two state championship games in 66 and 67 before winning in 68. They scored over 1,400 points in those 3 years and allowed less than 160. Now, out of 35 games, they had 27 shutouts. Coach Leland Mangrum was their coach. He went to, I would add too that when Carver closed in 69, a lot of these guys went to Monroe, and Monroe won their first region championship in football the next year. Who wants to interview somebody? Or you want to just pass it?
That's it. Okay.
All right, now don't start preaching.
Yeah, he said gotcha. They said the worst thing you can do is give a preacher a mic, so I'm gonna I'm gonna try to do my best to introduce these guys. Matter of fact, I'm gonna let them introduce their own self. So
I'm Leon Boyce from Monroe, Georgia.
pick position you play too.
I play nose tackle.
My name is Tommy Hillman. I play linebacker and guard. Did a little bit of everything. We never did come off the field. But we played special team, kickoff, offense, defense. So we had to play all the time.
John Butler from Monroe. I was running back and defensive guy and wide receiver.
Larry Bird, nicknamed Maniac. Number 65, play offensive guard and a linebacker on defense.
My name is Henry Witcher, Monroe. I play defensive end and offensive tackle. A friend in high school called me. I had a friend call me Duke. Then we were playing football, and the show used to come on, they called Patty Duke. Then they started calling me Patty Duke. Thank you.
Stanley Malcolm. I play halfback and cornerback, and my nickname was Scatback. Rufus Boyce. I played running back at Carver. In Monroe area, I played running back and defensive halfback.
Eddie Watkins. I played defensive lineman. Tommy Maddox. I'm from Monroe and I played linebacker and guard. And my nickname was everybody named Bubba.
The one that followed that, Charles Cooper from Monroe, Georgia. I played defense. At that Monroe area, I played defensive back.
My name is Jake Giles. I played a flanker, defensive back from Monroe.
I would add that when these guys went to Monroe area the following year, Stanley Malcolm was All-State for Monroe that year also. That's Columbus. And Mr. Columbus Jackson, who was late, but he was on the team too. All right, let's have the 69 football team. 1969. Which was the region championship. They won the region championship, right? Yeah. Larry Bird. This is the year that Stanley was All-State. Larry Bird was All-State also. So. And he played in the All-Star game. I'm going to let Coach Hicks introduce everybody.
I tell you what, I think we're going to pass the mic. At my age, it's hard for me to even remember my own name. We'll start down at this end.
I'm Jake Giles. I play defensive back and offensive.
I'm Eddie Watkins. I played linebacker.
Larry Bird again, linebacker and offensive guard.
Stanley Malcolm, tailback and defensive cornerback. Rufus Boyce, halfback and defensive halfback.
Robbie Cutsell, wide receiver.
Anthony Everett, offensive guard, defensive linebacker.
Steve Powers, halfback.
John Butler, defensive back and halfback.
My name is Ray Hicks, and I had the pleasure of coaching these gentlemen, some of the finest athletes I've ever dealt with. These two gentlemen right here, Larry Bird, Stanley Malcolm, not only were they All-State, but they played in the All-Star game that summer. I want to say just one or two things. This was the first year of total integration in Monroe, Georgia. It was a smooth operation, and a lot of the success goes to these football players that came together and just came together as a team with no resentment, but we're going to play football, we're going to get an education, and we're going to be together. So they were really the front runners of everything in Monroe and did an excellent job, and they are just to be commended for what they did.
All right, do we have members of any other 1960 teams here before we go to the next decade? Okay. Now let's call the 1970 Monroe girls basketball team forward, the first state champions.
The first state championship, I just want to say, the first state championship. I don't know what to say except we had a good time. I'm going to cry. We had a great coach. We had a great coach 3 years prior to Alan Johnson coming, Coach Bobby Bridges. We loved what we did, and we had heart. And let me say this to any young athletes that might be here. You might not be the best athlete on the field, but if you've got heart and you love what you're doing, then you can be a success. We weren't the best athletes, all of us, but we loved what we did. So I'm going to introduce to you, I do. And this was back, let me tell you again, for those of you that don't remember, this is back when we played 3-on-3. We played split court. So Linda Mitchell was a guard. Leanne Kimbrough Malcolm was a guard. Nan Mulkey O'Kelly was probably one of the best forwards that ever played basketball here. I played both ways. Kim Mulkey played forward, and Deborah played forward. Deborah Parker Hester played forward. What wonderful memories we have, and just remember that this is memories. So thank you very much.
Okay, let's have the 1970 Monroe Area High School baseball team step forward. These guys were runner-up in the state. They lost to the St. America's team that beat the 1965 team. All right, who wants to talk?
What do you want me to say, Steve? Just introduce somebody.
Oh, get Coach Hicks up here.
Coach Hicks?
Yeah.
Where's Coach Hicks? Ray Hicks, he didn't coach us, but he was athletic director at the time, so we're going to get him up here. Hey, Coach. All right, I'll introduce everybody, then give you a quick rundown. Phil Haney here, Phil Hamby, Robbie Cutsell, Coach Ray Hicks, Terry Mann, Wayne McDaniel, Jimmy Adcock. So, Lee Preston, sorry. I saw people talking up here, and I said they're gonna give that microphone to me, so I hadn't prepared anything. But right quick, as I remember, and it's been a long time. If you were a baseball fan, you remembered the Mets in '69 went from worst to first or something and won the World Series. Well, it was about like that for us. I mean, we went worst to first, and it was the amazing Hurricanes that made it all the way to the state finals and came up a little short. And the emphasis of that team was, and if you're also a baseball fan, if you remember the Milwaukee Braves, before they came to Atlanta, they had a saying, because they had two good pitchers, Spawn and Sane, and Pray for Rain, because they didn't have any more pitchers after that. Well, ours was Terry Mann and Pray for Rain, because we didn't have any more. But Wayne, I shouldn't say that because Wayne was a pitcher, but my good buddy here. But Terry Mann, we rode Terry Mann's arm all the way to the state championship, and that was a true story.
That is hitting more balls than I picked.
So anyway, we had a great run, and Ted Trenton, who of course no longer with us, was our coach. And after those years, and Ted was still in town, and we used to talk, and he said that was his most favorite time in his long sports history of that baseball team and the run we made. And one last note, after we won the sub-region, we had to play 2 out of 3 match all the way to Northeast Georgia Championship, North Georgia Championship, or even the region championship all the way to the state. And we lost the first game every time and then had to win the rubber match, which we did. So it was quite a run, and I know all these guys can just about remember it like I can. So, Steve, I don't know. Is that good enough?
What Coach Hicks is saying, I mentioned that the 65 team lost to Americus in the state championship, and so did this team, but Americus was the state champions 8 years in a row. So, I don't know if they kept the same team all 8 years, but
Just one other trivia thing while I'm thinking about it. The second baseman that played for Americus that year, if you know anything about sports, was Chan Gailey, who went on to the University of Florida as with a full ride as a scholarship quarterback. His only problem was he signed up the same time John Reeves did, who became a 2-time All-American at Florida, so nobody ever heard of Chan Gailey playing football. But you do know that he also coached Georgia Tech for a few years, and he also was a Dallas Cowboys quarterback for a while, but he was their second baseman and a heck of an athlete, and wore us out down there in Americus that day. But anyway, that's just another piece of trivia that we played against Chan Gailey. Thank you.
Okay, next we have the let's see, I don't skip anybody here. 1973 Girls Basketball State Champions. Don't be shy. I'm going to let Coach Bobby Tanner tell you about the team.
We did win the 1973 Girls State Championship. It was quite an experience. It was a rover style basketball. I don't know how many of you remember that, probably a lot of you, but I had coached 3-on-3 and then coached the rover style and the 5-on-5, which had changed over in the late 70s. But our team was, the record was 28-1. We lost one game that year. We won the sub-region championship and the region championship against Franklin County. Then we played them in state finals and won that game by about 6 points. So it was quite an experience. Wish we had more people here. It was a great group. Several of them went on to play college basketball. Patricia Roberts was one of the stars of that team, and Patricia went on to play college basketball in Kansas at Emporia State, and then ended up her career at the University of Tennessee, where she set a Stokely Center scoring record of 51 points. Played in the Olympics in 1968. Donna Wilson, Susan Hale, Penny Young, Elwin Burt were starters on that team, and it was a great group of young ladies and quite an accomplishment for them.
Oh dear. We lost that game that year because Coach was sick. He didn't come, and I think that was the most nervous that everybody got. But I'm Jane Pennell, and we won state championship on my birthday. I was 16 that year, and everybody bought me a cake, and that's another reason it was so great. But we loved Coach. I think that was the first time I realized or got a new meaning to what suicide was. Yeah, running suicide. So learn how to do that very quickly. The coach was a great coach, and we had great players. And I'm surprised they're not here, but this is a wonderful event. I hope it keeps going and bring back people in the future. So thank you for having it, whoever is in charge. We appreciate it. And thanks, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Have any teams from the 1980s? Now we tried to put this together, but it's hard to contact everybody or even to remember everybody. If not, we're going to move on to our last recognition today, which is the 1994 Monroe area Final Four baseball team. If y'all will come forward. I'm going to hand the microphone to Coach Connell, and it'll be short. He doesn't like to talk.
I will keep it short. But I would be remiss if I did not say next Friday night, senior night, October 27th, come over to the high school. We play Hart County in a big game. It'll be for second place in the region. Today, there are 5 of us here today. And as we're standing back there talking, y'all all know each other and went to school together. We're a little intimidated because it's kind of like being around our parents. But we're kind of getting to an age where we're parents, and most of us are parents, and it's just kind of fun to feel that kind of growth and become part of that community and reflect back on your time in high school. And we were just enjoying doing that back there. So I'm going to pass the mic around, let everybody say their name, and then we'll talk a little bit about the season and get this thing going.
Chris Haney. Dwayne Yancey.
Andy Huff.
Rusty McCullough.
As you can see, they played no positions. No statistics, no nicknames, nothing. But I tell you, we were probably considered underdogs in '94. We snuck into the playoffs. We thought the season was over, but we had an upset that allowed us to become the 4 seed, and then we just really started playing good baseball. We had to play the #1 team in the state in the first round of the region playoffs. And we took 2 out of 3 against Winder, who ended up having 5 guys that played at UGA off of that team. Then we had to go to Toccoa against Stevens County. Another favorite outside of Winder, they were ranked in the state in the top 10. We beat them 2 out of 3. And when we got into the state, the momentum is tricky. And once you get it, it'll stay with you. And it stayed with us until we got to Columbus in the Final Four. Unbelievable ball game. We lost 1-0 in 13 innings. Heartbreaker, and you had to play a doubleheader. So we only had 30 minutes to put it behind us and then play again, and we didn't put it behind us. Lost the second game. But it's still one of those moments in your life that we still love to talk about. And anytime we get together, it just brings up great memories. And we owe that to Monroe Area High School. And we all understand that. We all support Monroe Area. It's a huge part of who we are. Every one of our fathers went to Monroe Area High School. So we're all second generation Monroe Area graduates. And it means a lot to us. Hopefully all our kids will go to Monroe Area too. So thank y'all for coming. We're excited to be a part. We're honored to be a part, even if it's mostly our parents' age. We are honored to be a part. We hopefully will take our place in history with you too. So thanks again for coming out.
All right, is anybody else out there that would like to be recognized? The 1990 Girls Softball State Champions. Do we have any members of that present? Well, if they were here, we'd make their picture. Or you weren't on that team. All right, we're going to close out today, and Sadie's going to say a few things to end up, but I'm going to steal some of her thunder and tell you that we have a great exhibit right now at the Monroe Museum and the Monroe Walton Center for the Arts. It's the Smithsonian Hometown Teams, which this is all a part of. And we would ask you, even beg you, to take time and come see that. The part that's at the Art Center will leave next weekend. The part that's in the museum will be there quite a while longer. But if you've ever played anything at any high school in the Monroe area, your picture's probably down there, and there may even be a story about you, true or not true. So please make time in your schedule. Right now we're open 6 days a week, every day but Sunday, to come by and take a look at that. And I'm going to turn this over to Sadie now and let her tell you about the food.
Thank you. Also want to mention that we have local sports cards, collector sports cards, 62 of them, and many of the people that were up here today have a sports card. Some of the teams do, but they are all around town in our different stores and shops. So if you want to collect all 62 or find out where your favorite players are, there's a full list at the Visitor Center and Museum, but you could go around town today and get those in the stores and get your own collector cards of our local sports celebrities and athletes. We have fried pies over here, some cold drinks. Thank you for being here. Visit as long as you would like, and please go down and see the exhibits. Thank you for being here.